Hey guys, Travis here on day 2 of MLG Anaheim 2013 with Cardell Kerr, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, the creative director at Turbine Games working on Infinite Crisis. As you can see, there's a bunch of games going on over here. They're here, you guys are here at MLG. So what are you guys doing here exactly?
Well, we really wanted to give people a chance to actually play the game and really form their own opinions about it. I mean, our goal really is to integrate what all our actual communities have to say about what it feels like to play the Flash or what it feels like to play Batman, so we can basically just make our game better.
So I just had a chance to play the game. Very fun. Of course, you guys it's so much about the DC universe. I'm just kind of curious, like, how do you feel that's sort of a different experience for you guys designing the game? Because, you know, with other MOBAs out there right now, they're more from like original IP. You guys already have this, you know, obviously there's creative stuff around that. You also have to look at that when you're designing kits for the characters. Like, how does that influence your guys' design of the game?
Well, I think it actually makes some things a little bit easier for us, because in the grand scheme of things, when you sit down to play Batman, you have a pretty good understanding of what Batman's supposed to be like. So when we sit down with any designer, or any kit for any character, our goal is to make sure that playing that character, playing that kit, will make you feel like that character. So a good example for the Joker is he is the Clown Prince of Crime, and because of that fact, we really want you to be able to play him in such a way that when you're playing him well, you're literally laughing because you've just outwitted everyone, and they don't realize how badly you've outwitted them until the explosion goes off. And that's really a quick summary. That's kind of what that character's supposed to be like. And the same thing goes for Gaslight Joker, because he's very similar in the sense that he just needs to get close to you to effectively kill you. And there is a point where eventually, after he hits you with his ham hock and you're running in fear and he runs over with a bunch of his rats, you're laughing as the ludicrousness of the situation really hits you. When you really see your rats are destroying or devouring Gaslight Batman, it just kind of humor.
So obviously the game, very much MOBA, very much DC. Is this like a chicken and the egg thing? Like, what is influencing what, or is it just like this ultimate fusion between the two of them? Was there like, oh, we want to make something DC, we want to make something MOBA? What really created this this whole game?
Wow. I would have to say it's actually a fusion of the two. And when we first started off, I knew that I wanted to do something with DC. And I feel that DC is, if anything, DC is about its characters. Like, that is the number one thing that any form of DC game really needs to focus on. And when we looked at all the characters that we had access to, the thought was, how can we find a way to make each of those characters as fun to play as humanly possible? And with that in mind, a MOBA was the next logical fit. I mean, each character in a MOBA is literally the tool in your arsenal that you use to basically dismantle someone. And it seemed like, in that sense, everything fit really, really well together.
So, sort of looking at this, you guys are here at MLG. Game's not even out yet. In fact, you guys are still releasing different modes and sort of showing off different stuff. But you're already getting this big emphasis on eSports so much. Even at your E3 your E3 event, you had league teams come in. So is this just something that you guys are really pushing for? Do you want eSports to be really integrated into the game, or you know, where do you think eSports fits in with Infinite Crisis?
Well, esports for us is something we take very seriously. I mean, at Turbine, we've been doing massive multiplayer games for a long time, and each one of those games has a really diehard, very opinionated community that will be the first ones in line to tell you when you're doing well and when you're not doing so well. So thankfully, we've partnered up with MLG, and that's great because they get competition. They understand how these things work. They understand communities. And with that out there, it seemed like being here was the best way for us to really give everyone their chance to both sample what we built, as well as form their own opinions, you know, and as for us to be able to kind of see the scene and really appreciate it as well.
So when I played Wonder Woman. This was because I was informed she was OP. So obviously there's already balanced discussions that are being had, and sort of going into the esports thing, you know, balance is always a huge discussion around that. With other MOBAs that are out there right now, you see like Dota, they take like a longer cycle on balance changes and patches. You see Riot with League, they're willing to just do it anytime. What do you foresee, you know, how do you foresee your approach with Infinite Crisis going in terms of balance and you know, updates, releases, that kind of thing?
Well, we're going to be balancing pretty dynamically for a long period of time. I mean, the simple fact is we're still in closed beta. There's a lot of there are a lot of counter picks and counter plays that people aren't even really aware of right now. So one example is obviously the Flash. I mean, there are a lot of different ways to shut him down, but people don't really know them yet, and he's an assassin-style character. So often he gets a couple kills under his belt, and it's GG. So we're going to be kind of looking at that and basically comparing it to what we've already seen on the scene. But in many ways, all the things we're doing for this game are kind of call back to what I feel is what games we've been doing for a long time. So when we patch, we will typically patch as needed, and we want to try to make sure we're as responsive and as inclusive as possible.
So we had a discussion shortly before the interview about just sort of the accessibility of the game. Obviously, again, with the different kind of MOBAs out there, you see various degrees of accessibility and interest in sort of appealing to, like the newer players or even experienced MOBA players. Where do you see Infinite Crisis fitting in on just that scale?
Well, I actually think that Infinite Crisis tends to be more accessible than most other games out there right now. I think there's a combination of the fact that everyone knows Batman, everyone knows Superman. There's a certain level of just expectation that you get when you see one of these characters come out that you've been playing with, been reading comics when you were a child. Put that together with how we've approached our credits and currency, where we're actually dropping those things on the ground. The game just tends to be it is just flat more accessible than many other games where it may be just a bit more opaque what's actually happening. And with that said, we're trying to make sure that we have all the depth necessary to make an esport that has an evolving meta. Because if you make things too accessible, there's a point where there's just a right answer for how you play, and no one really wants that, because I feel like that's the death of a sport.
Now, obviously, the first map that you guys have revealed, the first mode, and I know there are others coming, but MOBA fans will sort of identify with Dominion from League of Legends. So why did you decide to go with that mode, whereas most, I think, right now tend to go with like a tri-lane map or something similar to that?
Well, we really wanted to start off with a single map mode that really emphasized the characters themselves. I mean, when we first started off with this game, it was all about making a superhero MOBA. And it wasn't just making a MOBA that everyone knows with characters that look like superheroes. It was more about actually taking a superhero and putting them in one of these worlds. Like, what would a superhero do? And this is where we ended up with this combination of catastrophic events and just flat destruction that allows you to open up maps, open up pathways, basically use the world as a weapon that you can use to crush your opponent. So with that in mind, we knew it was going to take us a long period of time for everyone to really get it under their belts about how to actually play this game. So we felt that Gotham Heights was really the best way to start that one, and obviously we've evolved the map since then. When we first started off, there were only the 5 capture points. Now we have the orbital cannon in the middle, and we did that deliberately to really access a lot of the catastrophic events within our game, so that you could in fact trigger these larger-than-life occurrences that open up options and really made game-changing events occur. Like, we wanted to have team fights. That is one of the reasons, another reasons why we added it. Like, I expect to see all of these things evolving, and when we do our next map, I think you'll see more of the same.
So then you obviously have the coast map that I've heard about, and that's sort of a different thing. I hear 2 lanes. What can you tell me about that?
So Coast City is very unique. It is one of the directives I gave the designers when we first started building it was, I want you to build a map that could only really exist in our game. And really that meant that we doubled down almost entirely upon just destruction and the catastrophic event. And when we started off with Gotham Heights and first used the orbital cannon, you capture that cannon and it fires in predetermined locations. And I thought what would be cooler than that is if you could actually wield the catastrophic event like a weapon itself. And that's how the Doomsday device was born. So Coast City is 2 lanes. So there is in fact a laning phase built around a single cannon. And if you destroy that cannon and you get the firing device, you can use that cannon at will. It's almost like having a second ultimate ability that does a massive amount of damage to structures and to people. And we really wanted just to emphasize how different the gameplay can be in a world where you're getting active abilities on the map based off where you are, what you're positioning, and how you're actually choosing to chase those things down.
All right, so now I've also heard rumors of a 3rd map. I have to ask, what can you tell me about it?
So our 3rd map is called Gotham Divided. It is a tri-lane map. It will bear some similarities to tri-lane maps that I think you've seen in other games, but it will be done uniquely and as only Infinite Crisis can do it. And it'll be very similar in the sense of we are going to build out more things that allow us to emphasize the superhero aspects of what it is to have a bunch of people fighting in a city, as opposed to maybe something that is a little more static.
Can you give me any hints whatsoever as to what that might be?
Well, I will give you a hint in that one of the things we've done is, for this game, we've tried to reevaluate what all the roles are for a standard MOBA style game. And that means that our support characters and our jungle characters, they're undergoing a pretty significant changeover just in terms of the options that they have available to them. I mean, I think you can see it in terms of there is a Doomsday device. You capture it. It gives you another ability that you can then use to blow up large portions of the map. That changes what it is to jungle. It inherently modifies how you can interact with your team, how you can set up team fights, how you can save people. It's kind of things along those lines. So our next map, Gotham Divided, it's built around that as a function.
Sort of wrapping up the interview, bringing it back to esports. You guys are here in force. We're seeing a lot of other developers sort of supporting their MOBAs in the esports scene in various ways. Obviously, Riot's powering with the LCS. We've got Valve, and they're doing international. I think the largest prize pool that we've seen so far. Do you guys have anything you can talk about right now about what your plans are, especially post-release for the game esports, and how you want to support it, in terms of tournaments and that kind of thing?
Well, I can definitely say that we take the esports community very seriously, and by that, I mean that we are going to try to roll out our game in as many stages as we can. We want to give everyone a chance to really understand and carve out their own new meta, because one of the things that we have to balance is that our Coast City map is just fundamentally different. So different that I really have no idea what metagame people are going to finally settle on. So we want to give people enough time that they can really figure out how they want to play this game competitively, and then once we let people acclimate to certain ones maps, that's when we're going to start trying to run competitions on those.
So then you do have plans to run competitions and sort of work. Do you have any plans to work with any of the existing partners or esports organizations out there? I know it's early. I'm just curious.
Well, I mean, our partnership with MLG is one of those things that we plan on really, really leaning on, because they know competition, they know gameplay, and the reason why we're here is because this is where the best players in the world are, and they are showing us things about our game that we didn't even expect. Right. And because of that fact, I think that we're going to pursue that relationship and try to do as much as we can.
At the end here, you have any place where people can check it out? I know you got a beta going on. Where can people learn all more about the game?
So I would go to www.infinitecrisis.com, and I think that will have all the information you should need.
Thank you very much for the interview. Really informative. Enjoyed the game very much. Thanks for having the chance to play here at MLG. For everyone, this is Travis on day 2 of the MLG Anaheim 2013 tournament. You can check out the rest of our coverage at gamespot.com/esports.